Hi everyone, welcome to Paint Night Live. My name's Tamara, I'm a content creator here at Plaid, and tonight I'm going to teach you how to paint Witch's Brew, this super cute Halloween painting featuring colors from our Let's Paint Live kit and an additional little touch of magic with some dragonfly glaze. So we're going to use this wooden surface that's actually one of our resin pouring surfaces, and we are going to use this to complete the painting. So to start, we're going to take some of our daffodil yellow and our pure orange, and we're going to begin with the background. So we're going to start with the yellow in the center, and you just want to kind of start painting in a circle shape.
And Tamara, you're painting this on a wood surface, but this could also be painted on a canvas.
It could be
right?
painted on a canvas.
Yeah.
I realized I forgot a color. I need white.
Okay, I'll grab you some white.
Okay, so we're going to start with this yellow in the center, and we're going to start just in a loose circle. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. We're just going to spread that paint around, and then we're going to come in just outside of that with some orange, some of the pure orange. So we don't want to fill the whole background with this because we're going to have some surface that's going to be a table. So you can estimate this about a third of the way up the canvas. You can take some of your yellow paint and just knock in a line there to mark the end of your table. So I'm going to add a little bit of white here for blending. So taking your yellow and orange and blending around that circle, mixing in a little bit of white, it just helps the colors blend really nicely. And we want to have this nice like glowing feature. So starting with the yellow in the center and blending out into your oranges to the edges. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're not trying to get a perfect solid finish. You want it to have a kind of spooky glow. And just every now and then pick up a little bit of white to help those colors blend. You don't want to get too much orange near this line here where your table is going to go. We want this to be the lightest part of the background so we can keep the focus on our witch's hat and our potion bottle. And once you get your circle to where it's pretty much touching the tabletop, that's when you're going to really start pushing the orange in. And then you're going to go in pretty strong with the orange as you work your way towards the edges. You can still grab a little bit of white to help with your blending. And you want to kind of move your arm in a very like open, loose brush strokes. It helps it give that sort of sense of glowing light. So just don't be too short with your brush strokes. Really paint with your whole arm and just really let those colors swoop back and forth.
Yeah, it seems like we're really trying to make it radiate outward, like from the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to take a little bit of water every now and then when I'm blending the colors. It just helps it blend a little bit easier. Just a little dab of water from your brush basin. And I'm going in and I'm just gently pushing that into the yellow working my way back out, and by the time you get to the edges, it's going to be pretty much just orange. If a little bit of yellow gets in there, that does not hurt anything. You don't really want to clean your brush or anything. You want those colors to be nice and blended. And you're going to work this all the way to the edges. Just trying to remember to curve that light around with your glow. Don't worry if you get a little bit below your line. We're going to paint over that, so it doesn't have to be a perfect line. And if you're painting on this raised surface, you may want to turn it to make it a little bit easier for you to get into those edges. If you're painting on a canvas, you can just wrap those brush strokes right around the edge of the canvas if you like.
Yeah, we're a big fan of turning the canvas to get a better angle here at Plaid. We've seen Andy Jones talk a lot about teaching beginners to paint, and they're scared to turn the canvas any way other than upright, and it's not necessary. You can turn it to make it easier anytime.
It is a completely movable piece. I wanted a little bit more yellow glow here, so while I have it turned, I'm going to push that a little bit into the orange. So once you have your imperfect glow of color, we're going to go ahead and clean our brushes out so that we can paint the tabletop, and then our background will be done.
Pretty simple.
And that's a pretty easy way to make a glowing background. And with this painting, we have a limited color palette, so we don't have to be super worried about not letting the colors mix together here. So you just want to get most of the paint out of your brush. And then we're going to come in with some medium gray.
Yeah, and like we mentioned previously, all the colors we're using are from our Let's Paint Live kit. So if you want to grab the kit, the link is in the description below. Pretty much every painting we do for paint nights or Let's Paint Live is using that kit. So it's a great, well-rounded paint kit.
So we're going to just turn this upside down here so we can get that bottom edge on the inside of the raised surface, or the raised border. So here I'm starting with the medium gray, and I'm just going to start with the edges and work my way in. And once you have a nice gray border, I'm going to flip this back around this way. We're going to start blending in some white because we don't want it to be too dark. So I'm going to put a little bit of gray paint on my brush, but then I'm going to come in here and grab some from the edge of the white. And as we're going to blend in the white, and as we work our way to the table, we're going to just add a little bit more white and keep it lighter. Don't get worried. Like you see here, if you look closely, you can see that some of the color is slipped in. It's actually really nice because it looks like the color is reflecting on the tabletop. And just a little bit of gray and a little extra white, and just keep working. Don't paint in a straight line. We're trying to keep that smooth rounded light shape, so it's almost like the shape of a parentheses.
Yeah, I suppose this adds a lot more visual interest rather than just a flat
Yeah.
gray table.
So in painting, we're not worried about perfectly straight lines, so don't worry about it too much. But you want to take a little bit of your white and your gray, and we're just going to reestablish that tabletop line. So it's basically the horizon line of your painting. So you're going to come back up about a third of the way up again. Just going to reestablish where your tabletop is ending. And that's the line that you want to paint to. We are going to have items that cover this, so it really is not important for it to be a perfect straight line. So people are always saying, I can't paint a straight line. You don't need to. Just got to have the idea of a straight line.
Yeah, we're just setting the stage right now.
Yeah, this is not the focal point.
Tamara, are you a big Halloween fan?
If that wasn't obvious
I
in the
asked
beginning.
you that question knowing the answer already.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am a huge Halloween fan. I've been basically trying to celebrate Halloween since July 4th.
Yeah.
So
That's when it starts these days.
it
you know?
is.
As soon as there's a day where it's like, I mean, we're based in Atlanta, Georgia. A lot of our viewers know that. But as soon as there's a day around August or September where it's below 80, it's fall time.
It's
now.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah. I officially started wearing Halloween jewelry at Labor Day. I try to contain myself, but all bets are off now. It's Halloween every day.
There's already a Spirit Halloween opened up near my house, so
Yeah.
yeah.
How many times have you been?
So I haven't been yet, and this year I want to go sooner rather than later, because what ends up happening is I always go too late every year, and then the thing that I came there for
It's gonna be gone.
It's gonna be gone, or it's gonna be really hard to find, like hidden somewhere.
Yep.
So I need to just jump on it and go ahead and go.
Yeah. I've already been like 4 times.
Oh,
so yeah. If you wanted anything I wanted, it's gone.
Okay. Good to know.
All right, so now we have just a nice gray blended surface, and I'll turn it sideways. So you want to kind of keep that parenthesis shape in mind. Once you have that marked in there and you are feeling pretty good about your coverage, we want the paint to be dry for the next step. So you can either wait a few minutes, or if you're painting along live, we can get a hair dryer and we can kind of help that drying along. This surface, with this being a wood surface, it dries a little bit faster than it may dry on a canvas. But you really want it to be as dry as possible. So I have a hair dryer here. I'm going to go ahead and dry this off. Oh, it doesn't work.
1 second.
Yes. So this is feeling pretty dry. We're still a little wet on the ground here. All right, so that should be pretty good. So once your painting is dry, then we can start working on the witch's hat and the potion. So just a reminder, if you're following along. So there's not a pattern for this. I know sometimes we work with patterns, but if you know some basic shapes, you're totally going to be able to paint a witch's hat and a potion bottle all by yourself, I promise. So we're going to take, for the hat, we're going to add some lavender and some bright pink to our palette. And I'm going to take just a little bit of black. And I just want to remind everyone, black paint goes a long way. We're only going to use a little bit.
We had somebody in the comments earlier mention how much they loved that bright pink. It's definitely a favorite here at Plaid.
Yes. It's a great color, big fan. I'm going to go ahead and just to be prepared for the band, we're going to add aqua. That's for the band of the witch's hat. Okay, so I'm a big fan of using flat brushes. This brush can kind of do it all. So I'm going to take the same flat brush we used for the background, just take some of the extra water off of it. And if you feel a little bit better, you can start with white, but I'm just going to take the purple and I'm just going to flatten my brush a little bit with the purple. And so witch's hat is basically a triangle, and we're not going for perfect here because this is a witch's hat and it's seen some things, it's been through it, and it's not really standing up straight anymore.
Right, this is a used witch hat.
It is very much a used witch's hat. So thinking of a triangle or a letter A, if that helps you, I want to have the band of the witch's hat sort of overlap with the horizon line. This will give you a good place to mark where your hat's going to be. So I'm going to take just this 1-inch brush here, and I'm just going to mark out around the center, maybe a little bit right of center. I'm just going to make a little line here. And then I'm going to come over towards the edge and a little line here. So we'll come back to this later, but this is going to be where your band is. So to work our way up to the top of the witch's hat, we're just going to take some of the lavender all by itself, and you just want to have kind of like an imperfect line, like a really wiggly triangle. And I just turn the brush sideways and have a wiggly line up. And we're going to come back to this side of this band, and we're going to do the same thing, but try to make the lines a little bit different. You don't want it to be, they're definitely sisters, not twins. And then we're going to have it curved to one side just to give it a little character. So that's going to be the top of your witch's hat.
Yeah, you can already kind of see it just based off that.
Yeah. So for the bottom of the witch's hat, we're going to have a potion bottle right here, so we don't have to do a lot right here. But I just want to take the brush just a little bit below the table line and a slightly angled line and just drop that there, and a little bit over here as well, just a little. And then we're going to go back to that parenthesis shape, and if it helps, you can turn it sideways so you can really see that. And then we're going to draw a parenthesis. With the potion bottle being here, it's not going to connect to the hat. We're not drawing the corner of it. It's going to be next to it. And you're going to get your slightly curved parentheses line here. That's all we're going to do for the outline of the witch's hat. We'll come back for the potion bottle later. So for the witch's hat, purple is going to be the main color, but we really want to like mix the colors and have it feeling very just kind of spooky and weathered and give it that, you know, secondhand witch hat look. So I'm going to start with the violet or the lavender here, and I'm just going to kind of lay it in. Don't go too thin because we want to be able to blend into it. I'm keeping it towards the left side of the hat right now. And we're just kind of loosely with a lot of texture, not like big brush strokes like we did with the background, just loose, messy brush strokes kind of filling in that base, that main shape of the hat. So we're going to keep this for now focused on the left side of the hat towards the light and just kind of plop in that color with short brush strokes. So on this side, we're going to leave this just the purple for now. We're going to come down here to the bottom of the hat, and for this one, to give it the texture that feels more like the base of the hat, we're going to keep our brush strokes more horizontal. You're still just kind of filling it in, and still short and messy, but just to help give it the texture of the shape, let's keep them short but horizontal brush strokes. And we're just going to leave that space here for the potion bottle. So before we go on to the darker side of the hat, I want you to, don't even clean your brush out, just take some of this bright pink, and we're just going to start blending that into the purple. You don't have to go all the way to the edge. You can leave some of that just simple lavender there. But on the left half of your witch's hat, we're just going to plop in short, messy brush strokes, some pink. And this is just going to add a little bit of dimension to your witch's hat. Keep it away from the edge so it almost feels like that edge is curving around the other side.
We have a comment that I wanted to share with you, Tamara. It says, I love all the color choices. So I think you did a good job.
Thank you. Color is my favorite.
If you guys don't know, Tamara works in our communications department at Plaid, but she's also a painter and an artist herself. And these colors that she's picked for this painting are very her.
They are.
You'll see a lot of Tamara's outfits are very conducive with this painting, so this feels authentic.
I definitely chose very personal colors for me.
Mm-hmm. And they're perfect for Halloween too.
Yeah. So I'm going to do one more pass of the pink, and I'm just not going to blend it quite as much. Just a little bit of extra pink. So now we're going to come into the dark side of the hat. So we're going to come over here, we're going to grab some more of this lavender, and we're going to put this in. And when I tell you the tiniest amount, I mean like you got to start really small. You just want to like dip the corner of your brush into this. Like, don't go crazy because it's really hard to paint over black, but when used sparingly, it can make the color a little bit darker. So we're just going to take a little at a time. You can flatten your brush on the palette. And here, I'm going to keep the parts where I dipped it into the black very close to the edge. And you can see I'm going over some of the line here. That doesn't matter because only the finished painting knows what the edge of that hat is going to be. So if you go over, that's the new edge of your hat. And I'm going to turn the brush just to make it a little bit easier, or turn the panel just to make it a little bit easier. But I'm coming in here with the purple blended into the brush, and I'm pulling it from the edge into the painting. It's just helping with that sense of dimension to kind of help that feel more flat. If you feel like you put too much black paint on your brush, just come over to your paper towel and wipe a little bit of that off. And I want to add a little bit more purple since I wiped my brush off. But yep, just come over to the edge, little bit at a time, and drop that dark shadow into your hat. And then down here at the bottom of the hat, we're going to just very, very gently, since the hat is flat, we don't want to go too strong with the shadows on that, on the base of the hat. Just a little. And then here where they meet, I'm just going to wipe off my brush, grab a little more purple, and just like we did with the yellow and the orange, just kind of blend those two parts so they don't feel so harsh. And you'll see, you know, don't push the darks too hard because I feel like when you blend in black, the colors are going to dry a little bit darker than they first look when you put them down. So you don't want to go too hard on that dark color, on that shading. All right, so now that we have the shadows on that side of the hat, I'm going to set this down. Back right side up. We're going to come back to the ribbon. We're going to work on the potion bottle and let this hat start to dry before we come back in and pop in our ribbon here. So I'm going to abandon this larger brush and I'm going to drop down to a flat brush that's a little bit smaller so we can have a little bit more controlled lines. So I'm going to take out this one. It's about half the size. And to start with the bottle, we're going to paint a circle. And everyone always talks about how hard it is to paint circles. So if you can't paint a circle, I just want you to draw the letter O. Just write the letter O. It's the same thing. So I'm getting a little bit of white on my brush here. And the circle, we're going to have it just overlap this the tabletop here. So you're just going to put in your O and leave a little space at the top. And remember, this is a painting. It's, you know, witches were probably using hand-blown glass. It's not going to be perfect.
That is an excellent point.
So you want to feel more authentic. You don't want it to be too perfect.
Right, and we've established that this witch is a practiced witch, given how worn her hat is.
Exactly.
So, you know, her glass may have taken a few dings. She probably blew the glass herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you come around, we're just going to go at the bottom on either side, just a little angled line. We're just going to give this potion bottle a base so it doesn't topple over and spill, because that would just be a catastrophe, I'm sure. And finishing off that bottom with the parenthesis shape again. So just grab a little more white. Keeping it pretty thin here. We don't want it to overpower because through the glass you're still going to see the background through it. So at the top of your potion bottle or your letter O, you're just going to come up at just a little bit of an angle, just a little curve, 2 lines coming out of the top of the bottle, and then you're going to top it with 2 lines. That's all you're going to do for the bottle for now. We're going to come back and we're going to add some more to the top of the bottle later. But now that we've loosely put in the shape of the bottle, we're going to come in back with our bright pink. We're going to really start tying the colors together across the hat and the potion bottle. And we're going to take some bright pink and we are going to fill this potion bottle with pink. I don't want it to be too neat. You know, you think about like a potion, there's probably like a lot of like shimmering and swirling going on in there. So I'm going to grab some white, and at the top I'm going to put a little extra white like it's reflecting the light. And we don't want it to have a straight, this is a bubbling potion, we don't want it to have a straight surface. So give the surface a little bit of wave action here. And then coming back in and working in more pink blended with white on the way down. Just a slight curve to it, little bit of waves. We don't want it to be as neat as the background. Don't worry if you go over your white lines, we can add definition back in later. So the same way that we added the pink to the purple hat to kind of tie the palette together, once you have a nice base level of potion in your glass, including the bottom, we'll take a little bit of purple, just a little bit, you don't want it to overpower. We're going to take a little bit of purple here just to kind of tie the colors together, and mostly on the right side, like it's reflecting the purple from the hat into your potion bottle. So you're just going to have just a few lines that make it look like that purple is reflecting and shining through the color of the potion, reflecting on the glass, and giving it a little more dimension than just a pink potion would be. Well, I have a little bit of purple and pink mixture on my brush, I'm going to go into the top where we have this sort of wobbly, wavy potion surface, and I'm just going to put in a few loose lines, maybe a little twirl, and then loosely with my flat brush turned horizontally, just add a little bit of an outline made of the pink purple mixture to the top of the potion.
Nice. It's subtle, but it ties it sort of visually back into the hat.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
And here on the side that's not reflecting the hat, I'm going to take just a little bit of white and just add a little bit of white to the left side that's not reflecting the dark purple.
Tamara, Cindy says, I love your storytelling describing the painting.
Oh, thank you. It's my first time, so glad you guys are enjoying it.
Well, you've got a really good project for us for your first time.
Oh, thank you. So we are going to do the cork on the bottle, and we don't want to introduce a new color. We have pretty much all the colors we need here to make a brownish shade. So I'm going to get a little bit of orange and a little bit of purple. And when you put these two colors together, it kind of makes like a gross, dirty cork brown. It'll be really good for your cork. I'm going to add a little bit of white. Well, I added too much white, so let's get a little more orange, a little more purple. All right, now we have our cork color here. We're going to start, we put these two lines at the top of the potion bottle. So we're first going to put just one swipe of this medium-sized brush right over the top. But then to give it some dimension, we want to curve it, so we're back to that parentheses shape, just to give it like a little soft, rounded shape. And then we want to go just underneath this second line because the cork is going into the bottle, and just with your brush turned sideways, just peek that a little bit into your glass here, just a little touch of the cork. And then I'm going to take a little bit of yellow and just swoop this in, kind of like add a little color, tie it all together. If you add too much, you can go back to your purple and orange. We just want it to be a kind of messy cork color.
When you finish your cork, can you hold the surface up to the camera just a little bit so we can get a nice close-up of the cork?
Absolutely. And I'm going to go in with just a little bit of white, and I just hit the top of it, just a little bit, and then the part that's in the glass, because the glass is going to be obscuring that color some. I just do this.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So we're going to let the potion bottle sit and dry for a minute, and we're going to come back over here to the hat. The hat is not totally dry, and that's okay. I like when the colors blend. It kind of makes them feel like they belong. So I'm going to come back to that larger brush that we used for the hat in the background, and this is where we're going to start playing with the aqua. This is a good ribbon-sized brush. So we're just going to take some of this aqua, and we're going to start just again with the parentheses, and I'll go sideways to really make that parentheses shape clear. We don't want to do a straight line. We're working on showing people that this is a round hat. So if you start at the top, if you turn it sideways, start at the top, and you start right where the hat comes in here, and then you make a gentle parentheses shape. It's going to help your hat feel more round. And we want to go past the hat just a little bit so it feels like the ribbon is on top of the hat, helping to force that dimension. So we're getting the base here. Now, it didn't pick up much of the purple from the hat, and I actually wanted to pick up a little bit. So if you're doing this at home and it picks up the purple, that's great. I'm going to take just a little bit of the purple, and I'm going to kind of bring it into this darker side. I'm going to go sideways again so my hand doesn't cover that for you. Take a little bit of the purple and just kind of gently, almost like you're frosting a cake or something, like you're not trying to scrape into the paint, you're just gently working in that purple on top and just barely blending it in. So we're using the purple to make a shadow in our aqua ribbon and also helping the colors tie together. And then we'll come back to this side and we'll grab a little bit of white and we'll do the same thing here. We'll just blend a little bit of that white onto the top to give it, actually we don't even want to go all the way over. You want to think about what we were saying about the hat being rounded. Don't go all the way to the edge, go just inside of the edge. And you're going to take some of your aqua and your white and just, I'm turning my brush sideways here, and we're just going to add in some streaks like this is where the highlights are. So we're not laying in a soft shadow, we're just kind of having the texture of the ribbon, and it's just getting a little bit of texture to show the grains of the ribbon going around. So don't keep your lines perfectly straight, gentle curve to them, and that will help it look more three-dimensional. Just in the same section of the hat that you also added the pink to. So this is where things are going to start getting messy and fun. So we want to kind of help all of this pop now. We've got in all of our colors and all of our textures. So we're going to, for the glass, we're going to come back to the glass for a minute, and the white is fine. The white helps imply that it's glass, but the thing about white is it reflects a lot of colors. So I'm just putting some white on my brush and I'm just flattening out the brush a little bit, and then I'm going to come and I'm going to grab a little bit of pink, and I'm going to just gently go over where we have lines. It doesn't need to be perfect. You're not looking for exactly covering the line. You're looking for, there is a touch of pink reflecting in this glass, and you're just going to go over in the parts that don't have pink, and you are going to just drop in some pink. Here, we're going to kind of fill this in a little bit for the lip of the glass. Adding a little bit more white as we work our way down, and just keeping your brush up and down so you don't make a thick line. You're working for a thin line, and you're just going to drag that down loosely.
So we're pretty much just like outlining.
We're outlining and highlighting.
Gotcha.
We're trying to make this glass feel a little bit more translucent and shiny. All right. We don't want it to be too neat. We want it to have a little bit of a messy feel. So we're really only going to push the white here on the bottle because it is glass. A lot of our outlining is going to be darker. I'm just going to go in a little bit on either side of the bottom. I don't really want to connect them. I just want to help it feel round. And then I'm going to wipe this off, and I'm going to switch over to some purple because we have the whole purple hat going in here, so we're going to have some purple blending in. In here I have some purple and some aqua in it. Go ahead and pull that in. Let that aqua be part of it. Just the kind of nice blending to tie all the colors together. So for this, I'm going to add just a little bit of water to my brush to help it flow. But we're just going to kind of go in, again, really loosely. I'll show you here in the original. This is not, it's not a perfect outline. It's very messy. It's very loose. We want the pink to show, the purple to show, the white to show. So in order to do that, we're just going to take our smaller flat brush here, and we're just going to gently just go on top of it. And we're just going to imperfectly add some purple, maybe a little bit of aqua, just the colors you've used in your palette, and give it that sort of picking up all the colors in the space feel. So now that we have the purple worked in, we're going to get into the black again. So again, just as we're working with the black, don't go too hard with the black. You know, it's always better to add a little bit at a time than it is to try and paint over it. So I'm going to clean my brush here, and so I'm going to take, my brush is a little bit wet, I'm going to take some of the black and I'm just going to pull it down, make this flat edge. If you feel like you have too much paint on your brush, I would just go to a paper towel and just gently wipe it, but don't go back and forth, just go one direction. We just want to pull that through. And start gentle, but just very, very lightly, we're going to drop this in. Don't do too much on the top, do a little bit. We're going to put some on the underside of the lip, we're going to put some on the cork. It's not really complete lines. You can do a little bit more towards the bottom because that's where it's going to be a little bit darker. Our glow is coming from the center. So when you go in to add these loose black lines, keep it more away from the light. And this kind of helps give it a spooky feel. So it's not so clean. It's got a little bit of a spooky edge to it. And we're going to do this to the hat as well. So this one, we're going to do it a little bit on the lighter side. We're going to go heavier on the right side of the hat and on the bottom. And there's kind of a nice way that you can add these sort of wobbles to the line. So you take your brush and you have it straight up and down. I'm not sure how to show this very well at an angle. But as you paint, you're going to sort of press down on the brush. I bet I could do this like this. So you're going to press down. I can't really see what I'm doing here, but just press down to give it an imperfect line.
Just add a little bit of pressure. Yeah,
just add a little pressure. You're not trying to put the gold part of the brush straight onto the surface, but just give it a little bit of wobbliness. It helps with that, you know, our very much trendy upcycling witch vibe. And I like to do that especially on the bottom because it kind of gives it like a feel of like shadows. I'm going to work our way up the right side of the hat. And here, it's kind of fun to come in a little bit, like just where your shape naturally feels like it could be a bent hat. When you're outlining it, just bring that in a little bit. And there's a fold in your hat. And I feel like there could be maybe 2 folds here. So I'm not going to go too heavy with the black on the top. I might actually go over that with some purple. So we have this darker outlining here on the right side. Before we go on to the lighter side, I'm going to take a little bit of this black and I'm going to come over here to the aqua, and I'm just going to kind of aqua up my black a little bit. And then we're going to do the same thing for the ribbon. I like to start about halfway so it doesn't feel too dark in the lighter areas. Imperfect outline. So we're going to take out some of the black out of the brush. It doesn't have to be perfectly clean. It's fine. I'm going to let a little bit of black still be on here. And I'm going to take some of this purple. And let's grab a little bit of pink too. And we're just going to kind of make a darker purple, but not so much on the black side. And with this new shade that we've made that's kind of like a dirty purple, that's how we're going to do this other side of the hat. So it's not too dark, but we're still able to kind of give it that intense edge. And just with your brush, painting on the flat side, just a loose sort of messy outline to give it that spooky feel. Okay, so we're almost done. And just to add some highlights to the ribbon, we'll come over to the aqua, grab a little bit of white, and we're just going to add a nice bright highlight to the ribbon because it's a little bit brighter. Maybe she's replaced it more recently than the hat. And we're just going to add a little cleaner white line to the left half. Again, loose and a little textured. And we're just going to add that in there. And while I have this teal on here, just to kind of add it in and bring it all together, I'm just going to take a little bit of this teal and just drop it on this side. Kind of bring that teal over into the glass. So the last thing that we're going to do before we work on the edge is we are going to just take some white, a little bit of pink, and just some O's, just some little messy O's. Don't even try to get it perfect. We're just dropping in some bubbles.
This is not witch's brew without the potion brewing, right?
Exactly. You got to have a little bit of bubbles. You know, if you're feeling crazy, maybe a popped bubble.
Super cute.
So all we did for this raised surface to complete it was taking this raised edge and paint it black. So this is a nice easy step. You've done all the hard work. We're just going to paint this edge black, and then we're going to top it with this dragonfly glaze to give it that magical feel. And to paint it black, it's really just, I just take my brush, and I don't like to go this way because you're going to get paint inside of your raised surface. So I find it a little bit easier to actually just go this way.
And Tamara, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you've never used Dragonfly Glaze before, it's a folk art product and it is a holographic top coat. Is that how you would describe it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's not a paint in and of itself, it's more of a finish.
Yeah, so you need to put the paint, you need to put something underneath it. If we just put it on the wood, that'd be kind of boring.
Yeah, you definitely could do that if there's like a painting that is that sort of the vibe you're going for, but we think it really pops when it's on a dark surface. We've used this on glass. We've painted the bottom of a glass plate with black and gone over it with the glaze on, and it really shimmers, and it has this sort of holographic effect like I mentioned earlier. Super cool product.
This is not the most exciting thing to watch because I'm just going to do this all the way around. So to spare you from having to watch me work my way around the edge of the canvas, just to give you an idea of what it looks like, I'll go ahead and show you how to do the dragonfly glaze, and then I can finish this later.
Would you say that the paint for the base coat needs to be dry?
It does need to be dry, so I'm actually going to take my hairdryer and just dry this edge really quick.
Okay.
I love how fast this dries with a hairdryer. So now that we have a dry black edge, I love this stuff so much. Glitter is my favorite color. I use this on a lot of things. So I'm just going to put a little bit on here to show you. So it comes out white. It's going to dry more clear. And this we're using is the violet blue green shift to kind of give it a spooky color. So we're going to do two things with this. One, we're going to put it over this border, and I'll put it over part of it so that you can see the difference.
Yeah, so if you've ever used Mod Podge before, it's similar in the fact that it comes out with this sort of white milky base, but then it dries clear. And we'll show you the finished hero project at the end so that you can see what it looks like when it's completely dry.
So just kind of putting some on here, you can see it's going to dry a bit more clear than this. So it's going to go on a little less transparent. And the other place that I want you to put it is on the reflected side of your potion, because you can never have too much glitter.
Right.
And our thrifty upcycling witch also likes glitter. So her potion has glitter in it. So to get that effect, we're just going to take this medium brush and we're just going to start on the right side and just pull it in wavy, loose lines.
I like to think that our thrifty upcycling witch makes potions, but from ingredients she gets at the farmer's market.
Yeah.
She goes to Goodwill for her robes. You know, she's very eco-friendly. She's a positive witch.
Yeah, she's definitely, she's a good witch.
Mm-hmm.
This would be me if I was a witch.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like just wiggly putting it on. So you can't really tell while it's flat, but when you bring it into the light, you can see the color starting to shift here.
And Dragonfly is one of those things where seeing it on camera or on your computer is never going to do it justice.
It's not. So we're going to pretend like that's all dry and we did the whole thing so that you can really get to see when the Dragonfly glaze dries. You can kind of see how it's shifting to that green, blue, violet. And it looks really great on the border. So if you had this like hanging in your house as people walk by, they would see the magical color.
And Dragonfly glaze comes in a lot of different color varieties other than, what's the one you're using, Violet?
I'm using violet, blue, green shift.
Yeah, so there's a ton of different ones that have different colors that will shift back and forth. It's, like I said, super, super cool.
Yeah.
We have a comment here. Love this painting. It's both spooky and whimsical at the same time.
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
That is exactly the vibe we're going for.
Yes. Spooky, cute, whimsy.
Yeah. So, Tamara, I wanted to let everybody know that this will be recorded. So if you've missed part of the live or you wanted to go back and pause it and watch at your own pace, you can find it on our Facebook and our YouTube page at Plaid Crafts for both Facebook and YouTube. Thank you so much for being here, Tamara. I think you did a great job, and it seems like everybody here loves the Witch's Brew.
Awesome. And if you guys do this painting, you need to share it and you need to tag us so when I'm doing my day job, I can find it.
Yeah, hashtag Plaid Crafts.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we will be back here next Monday night for another Paint Night Live. So until next time, we'll see you guys.